Hello, everyone. Welcome to my Masked Singer vlog. This is for The Masked Singer, Season 8, Episode 7. And for those of you who did not, or who have watched the Episode 6 one, you might be going, why is she wearing the same shirt? Well, I had Hulu issues, so I watched these two episodes actually on the same day, and I meant to get around to doing the vlog before today, but I haven't. And tonight the new episode is airing, so I'm going ahead and doing them right now. So, the Lambs was crowned again as the queen of this section, leading up to the semifinals at the end of the last episode. So, on season 7, oh, we got new characters again for this episode. I thought. Okay, yeah. I'm sorry, we got brand new characters for this episode. How did I forget that? The Lambs are in the semifinals with Harp. So that's two females that have moved on to the semifinals, right? Excuse me. So it was Hall of Fame night, and I mentioned when I was doing my episode 6 vlog a while ago that Leslie Jordan guest starred on episode 6, but I was mistaken about that. He actually guest starred on episode 7. It was good to see him again. R.I.P. Leslie. He had a tragic, tragically, he had an accident. I believe it was earlier this month, and he ended up passing away from that. And they did have a little memorial thing to him at the end of the episode, which was very sweet of them. But it was good to see him on there. They're pre-recorded, of course. So it was Hall of Fame night, as I said. So the show started with the song Fame by Irene Cara. Nicole sang it. She did a very good job. And Ken was unable to be on this episode. That's why Leslie Jordan filled in. He filled in for him on the panel. R.I.P. Leslie. The first character in the new one was the bride. I still don't know why Nick thinks he has to put the in front of all of them, but anyway, was bride, whose first clue was smashed a rock. And now I did put in my notes that at the first I did put the she, but I had a feeling it might have been a guy because it looked a very larger than life character, right? And I said, she's a dragon bride, it appears. Bridezilla. Oh. Like Godzilla in a wedding gown, basically, pretty much. Looked more like a dragon to me, but anyway. And then Joel McHale dropped in and was looking for Ken, supposedly, and he stayed also as a guest panelist. And in her clues, she spoke of being alone. There was a globe with a crown on it. There were debris everywhere. Said she has a rugged personality, lives on the road, selling out arenas. And I was like, sounds like a man with an accent, possibly Elton John, perhaps. Then they showed a woven crown that was like vines woven together. And, oh, yeah. Anyway, he also said that he has an appetite for destroying things. There were buttons, the little buttons like you put on your shirt, like election buttons, and such as that. One of them had the rock and roll thing that's like this. Sorry if I did that wrong. Oops, actually, I think it's this. Anyway, obviously I don't do that symbol much, right? But yeah, there was one for that, and there was also a fiery looking snake, and as I said, she looks like a dragon to me, realistically. Though it is actually a guy, but, but the character kind of seems more female. But anyway, and they showed a wedding taking place in a junkyard. They said he's notorious for being in some of the messiest feuds, has gone the solo route. So he's notorious for being in some of the messiest feuds and has gone the solo route. And this made me think of Joe Walsh from the Eagles, Life's Been Good. A lot of the stuff that it says in that song, because they were a group and then he went solo, so that made me think of him. There was a man who held things, there was a, blah, blah, blah. There was a man who was holding a thing with music notes on it where a wrestling belt would go. So like in the general naval area, as in belly button, not Navy, but anyway. But yeah, one of the men in black was where it was holding this deal that had musical notes on it where a wrestling belt would go. And I'm like, is there a wrestler who sings? I mean, The Rock can sing, but it said he crushed a rock. It didn't say that that he is The Rock. But anyway, well, I lost my place. Da, 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 da. Oh, so I did write down what they sang on this one. He sang "Shut Up and Dance" by Walk the Moon. He did a pretty good job of singing. And I made note that Stone Cold Steve Austin was The Rock's primary rival when he was wrestling. And Stone Cold Steve Austin, of course, has done movies. And I also made a note that Jenny was shocked that he was a man, but to me, the clues pointed to him being a man. Plus, like I said, he sounded like a man that had an accent to me. And I made a note that he could also be Jason Statham because, he said he smashed a rock, and on the Fast and Furious movies, Jason Statham and The Rock were rivals. And he, of course, has an accent. I'm not sure he can sing. I've said that before. I've guessed him for several people. I'm not sure that he can sing. I've not seen him sing on anything that I recall. So they had clues that came from a goat, and his clue from a goat, and goat generally stands for greatest of all time, but this was an actual real goat. So his was a medal. They all had medals. His was a medal that says Action Hero. And I was like, so both are still possibilities because, as I said, Stone Cold Steve Austin has done movies. Of course, Jason Statham has done movies, and I'm like, yeah. But he did say that he has been a hero in movies, among other things. And I don't know that Stone Cold Steve Austin has actually ever played for a hero in a movie. Jason Statham was in the Driver movies where he was the good guy who was helping other people out. I believe that's those movies. But he has been in movies where he played for the good guy, but he's also been in movies where he played for the bad guy, like the Fast and Furious movies. So I decided, largely for that reason, to go with Jason Statham for now. And the next character that came up was Gopher, whose first clue said he's an expert in British politics. And I was like, okay. Not real sure where you're going with that, but okay. I felt like he was Ken because Ken couldn't be on this episode. And there was just things about him that made me think that possibly he was Ken, like the outfit for one thing. Just seemed to me like if Ken was going to be on there, it's something that he would want to dress as because it was a gopher in a cowboy suit, basically. I'm just saying, to me it seemed like that's possibly who he was right off the bat. But he called himself an intergalactic space cowboy. Said he earned his place in the Hall of Fame. He started a movement, which there are a lot of people that have done. They showed a purple wig. There were various rocks. I didn't make any more note on that about what type of rocks they were, but there were rocks. Said he blazed new trails down many old town roads, which I felt like was supposed to make us think of Billy Ray Cyrus. But I was like, I don't feel like this is him. There was a lawn chair in the desert next to a barrel, and scenes like that always make me think of Mel Gibson, Danny Glover, though I don't, well, anyway, because of the scenery similar to that was in the movies that I'm going to not think of the name of, that the two of them were in together. Oh my gosh. Anyway, sometimes I think I should just be quiet, right? Anyway, he said he's in the Smithsonian. I believe he said he's been in the Hall of Fame twice. He's in the Smithsonian. Not bad for a party rockin' doctor is what I put. I guess he said that, maybe, I don't know, but oh yeah, he said he's in the Smithsonian. Not bad for a party rockin' doctor. So yeah, I was like, it's gotta be Ken, right? Because he's Dr. Ken. So anyway, he said doctors copied his methods, and even dogs looked to be part of his legacy, which had me confused. And they showed some corgis, and I was like, okay, well, the Queen had corgis, so maybe it's someone that is British royalty. I don't know. And then he said he's the ultimate OG, which is original gangster. But I don't feel like that's how he intended it. But anyway, he's the ultimate OG. And then he said something about flavor, which made me go Flavor Flav, like Leslie Jordan said. And there was an award, which was a Grammy. And as I said, like I wrote here, I guess he could be Flava Flav, but I don't think so. Because he said flavor, so he could be Flava Flav, but I don't think so. Anyway, he performed It's Your Thing by the Isley Brothers, and I did not know who sang that song either. And I wrote down that it's definitely not Ken. Ken has sang some on the song, and this person was not the best singer. He was a good performer, but he was not the best singer. So I drew a blank on him. I was like, it's not Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre can sing. The GOAT clue for his medal says LOL. Yeah, the GOAT clue for his medal was LOL, and he's known to be funny. And I was like, okay, well, I mean, yeah, that narrowed it down. Not. But I decided perhaps Eddie Murphy, and I'm like, he can sing too, though, so I don't know. But he played Dr. Dolittle, and he said the thing about even dogs wanting to be part of his legacy. So I was like, well, maybe it's Eddie Murphy because of Dr. Dolittle, right? And of course, he had many other roles as well. So the third new character was Venus Flytrap, and I loved that outfit. Their first clue was that he loves his name, and I was like, RuPaul. And then there was Orion's belt, which led me to Men in Black, Will Smith, Tommy Lee Jones. I'm sure there are several other people that have been on Men in Black, the Men in Black movies, but I couldn't think of anyone besides them. I was surprised that none of the panel went to Men in Black from Orion's belt, but none of them did. He said he became a Hall of Famer twice. Oh, the Venus Flytrap is the one that said that. Okay, so he became a Hall of Famer twice. There were some tropical plants that they showed. There was a desert-looking planet, and I was like, right now I'm thinking Will Smith, because he was on the movie Earth, I believe was what it was called, with Jaden, and they were on the planet that had tropically type things, and it also had desert type areas. And he said the first time that he was in the Hall of Fame, he was in his 20s. Nobody thought he could do it again in his 40s. And I'm still thinking Will Smith, right? They showed a ball pit, which made me think perhaps it was someone that played baseball or some type of sport, but I didn't know for sure. They showed outdoor furniture. He said he went down as one of the best in history. And I'm like, Will Smith. But yeah, that kind of confused me. He went down as one of the best in history. I was like, that could be a lot of people, but I don't know who it could be. Said he didn't stop there, and it showed a weekly TV magazine, and I'm like, okay, so he was on a weekly show. I mean, Will Smith was on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which came on daily in many places. But it said his greatest hit came in the next decade of his life, which was after his 40s, so it'd be in his 50s. And I'm like, well, Will Smith is in his 50s now, or possibly his early 60s, so it could still be Will Smith, right? Then there was glass breaking, or a glass that broke. They showed a horseshoe and a grill, which had me looking into the horseshoe grill because I'm like, that sounds so familiar. Where have I heard of the horseshoe grill before? There's a restaurant in my hometown by that name. A couple of other places too, apparently. But anyway, I was like, oh. And he said he guarantees all of us have had a piece of him in our home at some point. There was, no, he said he's an all-star king of reinvention. So he guarantees we've all had a piece of him in our home at some point. He's an all-star king of reinvention. And he sang Get Ready by the Temptations. I was like, he sounds like Will Smith to me, right? And his goat clue was a medal that said 100 million. I was like, I bet Will Smith has that many followers on something. Twitter, YouTube, I don't know. He has a lot of followers, I'm sure, right? Yeah, I really got stuck on Will Smith for him because of the Orion's belt thing, pretty much. So let me see here. He said performing in his costume comes real easy. Still have me thinking he's a performer leaning toward Will Smith, right? Said to always believe in yourself. He did. He took the punches and blows, and look at him now. And I'm like, I mean, I was going to look into it and I never did, but I'm pretty sure that Will Smith was in a boxing movie. I don't know for sure, but I think he was. But one of them guessed George Foreman, and I liked that guess. Though his singing to me did sound like Will Smith, and I'm not even sure George Foreman can sing, because who knows, you know, he can name his kids George, but can he sing? Anyway, so the votes came in, and the Venus flytrap was revealed first, which surprised me because I actually kind of thought that Venus flytrap was the best performer. I frankly thought he sang the best, as I just said. The panel's guesses were Jenny went with Bo Jackson. Nicole went with Charles Barkley, both athletes. Leslie Jordan, this is the one he guessed Mike Tyson for. Joel McHale guessed Mickey Rourke again, because he needs to come back on the show. And Robin was the one that guessed George Foreman. I stuck with Will Smith because I liked my guess. Most of them, interestingly, went with athletes. Or actually, all of them except for Joel McHale went with athletes, which I think is interesting. Because I thought that he did the best job singing, as I said. But anyway, he did turn out to be George Foreman. I was like, Robin's on a roll. Did he get... Look back and see if he got... Oh, yeah, he got Joey Lawrence right. So, yeah, he did a real good job of guessing. So then Brad and Gopher, of course, went head-to-head in the Battle Royale, and they sang All-Star by Smash Mouth. I love that song. Anyway, I think most of us do. Hey now, you're an all-star. Anyway. And I felt like Bride, at this point, when he was performing All-Star, could be Ozzy Osbourne. Because he was doing real rock style, you know. But I was still leaning toward Jason Statham because of the action hero thing and playing the good guy and the bad guy. And I was like, I will stick with Funny Man, Dr. Dolittle, Eddie Murphy for Gopher. Funny Man, Dr. Dolittle, Eddie Murphy for... Yeah, anyway. So the final reveal of the episode was Gopher. So we'll have to wait and see who Bridezilla is, right? But Gopher was revealed. Leslie Jordan guessed Flavor Flav, which I think I mentioned earlier. He came to my mind briefly, and I was like, but I really don't think it's him. But they laughed at him because he said that, and I was like, I mean, he said Flavor, and I'm like, it could be Flavor Flav. Anyway, Joel stuck with George Wallace, whom he had guessed, who is an older jazz musician, and I believe he also did some acting. Jenny said Bootsy Collins, whom I don't right offhand know who is, though I'm pretty sure he was also a jazz singer. Robin guessed George Clinton. Now, see, I was thinking that Joel and Robin guessed the same person, but no. Joel guessed George Wallace. Robin guessed George Clinton. And Nicole went with George Clinton as well, because why not? Robin's on a roll, right? You got two right, might as well go with him. And he was, in fact, George Clinton. And I was like, two Georges went home, George Clinton and George Foreman. I wonder if the third guy is also a George, like maybe George Clooney. Let's see, has George Clooney played the bad guy in a movie? I'm sure he has. I'm sure he's been in a lot of stuff. I feel like he can sing. Maybe I'm onto something here, but I don't think he's ever smashed a rock. Anyway, and I also kind of feel like he's a singer. I look forward to finding out who Bridezilla is, but I kind of want him to go on to the finale. It would be awesome if there is a guy in the finale at least. And to me, he definitely does sound like he has an accent. Leslie and I believe Robin, I think. There were two of the panelists that said that they feel like he's putting on his accent. I don't feel like he is. I think he actually has the accent. It'd be cool to see Ozzy Osbourne on there, but I don't feel like he would go on there. Though Kelly Osbourne was on there, so maybe. But for right now, for Bridezilla, I'm still sticking with Jason Statham. It'd be interesting if he did turn out to be The Rock. Dwayne Johnson, though I don't know why it would say he smashed The Rock. But anyway, because he smashed it as The Rock, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to stop for now. Everyone, have a great whatever time of night or day it is in your part of the world. Stay safe and stay positive.